Releasing today is the prologue of a brand new drifting game. It's called JDM Rise of the Scorpion, and it features JDM cars, it features drifting, it features a narrative story that's told by manga, and it's also free. You don't have to pay any money for it. So I gave it a go, and we're gonna see if it's worth actually giving it a skip. So JDM Rise of the Scorpion is available on Steam right now. It's also available on GOG and on Epic Game Store as well, since it is using Unreal Engine, and it is free. So you don't have to pay any money for it, and it is sort of an introduction to a future release of the full game, which is just called JDM. It is a prologue, I would say. We'll have to see how it actually ties into the main story, which is called JDM, but it seems like a small section of the main game. It is a standalone section, and it features a character called Hattori. He is in high school, and he gets into wacky hijinks that, of course, feature drifting in lots of very cool cars that I'm surprised that they can afford. The full game is, of course, going to be coming out later this year. There's no release date that's been set yet, but it'll probably feature more cars. We'll also have access to the wider map. We're only on a small section at the moment. I'm sure there'll be more challenges, customization, all of that stuff as well. So this game is developed by a Polish developer called Gaming Factory. It's a narrative game. It's set in Tama Prefecture. It's a combination of both Gunma and Saitama, which is kind of cute. The map's got a lake, it's got a mountainside, and it's obviously extremely inspired by Initial D and Mount Akina, which is of course based off Mount and Lake Haruna. I'm lucky enough to have actually lived in Nagano Prefecture for a while, which is actually just next door to Gunma, and I can say that this game kind of mostly matches the vibe of the area. The trees look nice. I think the markings on the road seem to match up, and there's vending machines everywhere. There's those little signs outside like shops and stuff kind of advertising for you to come in. It feels like Japan. In a way though, it almost feels like a Disneyland version of Japan. It's almost too beautiful and scenic. It's kind of authentic, but it doesn't feel 100% quite right, I guess, for me. I didn't get an uncanny valley feeling of like, oh my god, I'm in Japan. But I guess for a lot of people, it'll be more than enough. It feels kind of like Initial D. What you'll be doing in this game is driving from challenge to challenge, which has so far been like drift races against other people, where the aim is to rack up as many points as possible. There's also a car dealership and a customization garage as well that we'll get into. The world is open world, of course, so you'll have AI traffic driving around and stuff. The AI doesn't seem very smart, I'll be honest. If you like crash on the side of the road, the AI will just pile into you, no brakes. They don't seem to register you. But I think the open world is a really, really cool thing. I know there's a lot of people who play these drifting games and just want to kind of vibe out, and I think that's a huge pro. So how does this game actually feel to drive? And well, for starters, I have to say there is a bunch of wheel support as well as for keyboard and controller. My Logitech Direct Drive DD Pro worked straight out of the gate. I just had to like assign some buttons and it worked fine. And that is also what I drove when I was testing the game. I should also say I'm playing this on a super ultra wide, which I'm very happy to have. And that was also supported really nicely. You can't change the FOV in game, which is kind of annoying, but otherwise like the game works pretty fine. So the game feels nice to drive. It's definitely real smooth, I would say. It doesn't, the road doesn't feel like it has the same bumps and kind of like, you know, it doesn't feel like it's giving me as much feedback as like something like iRacing or Assetto Corsa. The game feels a lot smoother to drive. That being said though, the drifting is quite unforgiving. It's not like Need for Speed or Forza where you can kind of tip the car sideways and it goes into like an alternate physics mode, I guess. And it kind of just sits in like a weird kind of drift mode and you can mash the throttle and just kind of, it just wants to sit there. It's not like that. It takes a bit of effort to get the car sideways, and actually holding it sideways is really difficult. I'm not the best drifter in the world, and you'll probably see from some of this footage, like I'm struggling. My brain automatically, I guess racer brain, but like my brain says sideways bad, must be straight. So I like try and fix the sidewaysness. I don't know, I figured it out. I think it was quite difficult to get my head around, but I think it'll be difficult to master, I would say, but probably pretty rewarding once you get it. There are driving aids available if you're struggling. I didn't use them because my ego is too big, but you can probably use those as well. But if you're looking for a game where you can just like chill out and mindlessly drift, this probably isn't it. It actually kind of takes some effort. I did find it easier to drift once I started to customize my car and give it some more straight line handling, as we call it. And you have a fair few options when it comes to customization. You do start with a 370Z and you can upgrade it both with the way it looks, and you can also upgrade internally, give it lots of performance upgrades. The sounds change as you customize it. I thought the cars sounded nice. The effects on the smoke also look quite nice. The sounds are okay. I didn't really notice them as I played it, but it sounds fine. In terms of the cars you'll be driving, there are a bunch of cars. The main car is, of course, a green 370Z, which is like the hero car for our main character, and it's from a fictional manufacturer because Nissan isn't licensed in this game, but Subaru and Mazda are licensed. There's both like the MX-5 as well as like the new and the new-ish BRZ, which are both available for you to drive. In terms of graphics, I think this world looks kind of beautiful. It's apparently got a full day-night cycle that's happening, and I don't know, I think it looks quite nice. There is a bit of a shadowy kind of that delay behind the car. And I will say, this might just be me, but I found it really, really difficult to record this game. It's super choppy. It runs perfectly smooth on my screen, I have to say. Like, it looks amazing, even running it, you know, windowed and all sorts of stuff. It looks great, runs smoothly, but in terms of recording it, it looks really choppy. So runs quite intensively on my computer. The story itself is told through manga, and in terms of a narrative, I'll be honest, this story feels a little dorky, and it's actually quite hard to follow what's happening, but the art style is fun, and I honestly don't hate it. I love the idea of a narrative racing game, and there aren't enough these days. The only one that I can think of is like Need for Speed Unbound. Look, I don't think it's possible to create a story for a racing game that's not cringe. Like, every racing game that has a story, it's extremely cringe, but that's fine. Like, lean into it. I think it's okay. I'm glad that they're doing this. It's one of my favorite things about it. So I love that it's in there, and I'm gonna give it a thumbs up just for having a story. So there is multiplayer that will apparently be in this game, probably in the full release. It is appearing locked on my screen. There is split screen online racing and like leaderboards, so we'll have to see what that's like. Maybe in the full release. I don't know if it'll be available in Rise of the Scorpion. Now, this game is, of course, very, very new, and it's kind of in development, the full game. So there are a bunch of bugs that I've encountered playing it, and some of these may be patched by day one. So if they're not there when you're playing it, great, but they might still be there. And some of them, one of them is pretty bad. The game crashes when I close the map. It like crashes to desktop. It's quite annoying. So I'm just like avoiding using the map at all at the moment, which is quite annoying because I think the map looks really nice. It feels like Super Forza Horizon, but in Japan. And also, I need to say that the wheel forcefully centers itself after a loading screen. This is quite scary for direct drive users, as you'll often like finish a drift session like full lock, you know, holding a drift across the line. You'll just let go of the wheel and it'll just sit there with no force feedback. And then when the loading screen ends, it'll just suddenly just go like straight back to center. And I've almost snapped my wrist twice. I know I shouldn't be resting my hands on the wheel, but like, I forget sometimes. So I just need to let you know that's quite scary. So is this game worth playing? Look, it's free. So I think, yes, it's definitely worth picking it up. Like, it's free, it's not too big, it's pretty small. I think it's definitely worth playing if you're remotely interested. I think it definitely needs a lot of polishing. It's got some really nice stuff up under the hood. I know there will be a lot of people that just love the vibes of cruising around the mountainside of like Japan in the open world on their own. They'll just love that. So if you're that kind of person, you'll like it, but I think it does need a fair bit of work, and I'm glad they're showing it to us. I'm glad it's free. I want to see more, but I think they should continue working on it before the full release. If you want to see more of JDM Rise of the Scorpion or just JDM in general, let us know in the comments. If you're playing it and you've had a great experience or not so great, please let us know as well. Otherwise, you can like the video if you enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to Overtake for more sim racing and racing game videos. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.